These 12 English words are everywhere right now, in offices, on social media, in meetings, in conversations, and most English courses don't teach a single one of them. Let's fix that.
Prompt. 2 meanings. AI meaning, the instruction you give to an AI tool. Everyday meaning, to cause someone to say or do something. What prompt did you use to generate that image? It looks incredible. Her question prompted me to completely rethink the entire approach. The word has existed for centuries, but AI gave it a second life. In 2025, you hear it in both tech meetings and everyday conversations. Knowing both uses makes you sound fluent in the language of right now.
Bandwidth. Nothing to do with internet speed in modern professional English. Means mental capacity, time, or energy available to take on something. I'd love to help with that project, but I genuinely don't have the bandwidth this week. She's brilliant, but she's completely at bandwidth right now. Maybe ask her in January. This metaphor, borrowed from networking technology, has completely taken over workplace English. If you hear this in a meeting and think someone is complaining about Wi-Fi, you'll miss the entire meaning of what they just said.
Unpack. Doesn't mean opening a suitcase, means to examine something carefully and explain all of its parts, layers, or implications. Let's unpack what actually happened here before we make any decisions. That's a complex idea. Let me unpack it so everyone's on the same page. Hugely common in meetings, podcasts, YouTube videos, and social media commentary. Once you know this meaning, you'll realize you've been hearing it everywhere without noticing. It's almost always used at the start of an explanation.
Iterate. To repeat a process while making small improvements each time. The noun form iteration is equally common. Originally a software development term, now used in business, design, education, and everyday conversation. We're going to iterate on this design based on the feedback from the first user test. Don't try to get it perfect immediately. Just ship it and iterate from there. The cultural shift here is significant. Iterating implies a deliberate, thoughtful cycle of improvement. Saying we'll iterate instead of we'll try again frames the effort as professional and strategic rather than reactive. That framing difference matters. Curate. Used to belong exclusively to art museums, now means to carefully select and organize content, experiences, or an image, sometimes with a slightly ironic edge in casual speech. She has an incredibly curated Instagram feed. Every photo looks like a magazine shoot. We've curated a playlist specifically for this kind of long study session. The ironic use is important. He curated a very specific personality for that meeting. Said with a knowing smile, this implies someone was being artificially polished or performative. Native speakers use it both sincerely and sarcastically. The context and tone tell you which. Deep dive. A thorough, detailed investigation into a topic. Works as both a noun and a verb. Everywhere. On YouTube, in podcasts, in business meetings, and on social media. Let's do a deep dive into the data before we present anything to the board. I went down a deep dive on this topic last night and genuinely cannot stop thinking about it. The casual version, I deep dived into it all weekend, is now completely standard in formal English. You also hear rabbit hole used similarly, but deep dive carries a more intentional, research-focused connotation. Knowing the difference lets you choose the right one.
Pivot. Originally a basketball term, now one of the most used words in business and professional English. Means to make a significant change in direction or strategy, often in response to new information or a failure. The company pivoted to focus entirely on B2B after the consumer product launch didn't perform. Or, let's pivot. This approach clearly isn't working and we need a different angle. It's also used personally. I pivoted away from law and went into marketing, describing a career change without the weight of words like quit or gave up. The word pivot frames change as intentional and strategic, which is exactly why it became so popular.
Align is one of the most overused words in professional English right now. Means to bring into agreement, coordination, or the same understanding. Critical function. it softens disagreement. We need to make sure everyone is aligned on the deadline before this goes any further. Or, I just want to align with you before the meeting so we're presenting the same message. We're not aligned on this is a professional, diplomatic way of saying we disagree without the confrontational weight of actually saying that. This word does enormous social work in English office culture. Using it correctly signals professional maturity. Gaslighting. Originally psychological, when someone manipulates another person into questioning their own memory, perception, or reality. Now used more broadly in everyday speech to describe making someone feel they are wrong when they are not. He completely gaslit her into thinking she had misunderstood the agreement from the start. That meeting was insane. They basically gaslit the entire team into accepting the blame. The word comes from a 1944 film called Gaslight, in which a husband secretly dims the gas lights in the house and tells his wife she is imagining the change, to make her doubt her own sanity. Knowing this etymology makes the word completely unforgettable. Circle back means to return to a topic or conversation later. Extremely common in professional English, especially in meetings. Also, now commonly used with a layer of irony. Let's circle back to the budget question after we've heard from the product team. I'll circle back with you once I've had a chance to check the numbers and speak to finance. Many native speakers now use circle back with a slight knowing tone, acknowledging that it sounds very corporate. We'll circle back on that can be sincere, we'll actually return to it, or dismissive, we probably won't. Context and body language tell you which. Learning to read that difference is advanced English listening.
Vibe. Originally from vibration via music culture, now means the atmosphere, energy, or feeling of a place, person, or situation. Works as both a noun and a verb, and has an entire ecosystem of related expressions. This cafe has such a good vibe, I could work here all day. Or, I'm not really vibing with this idea, to be honest. Something feels off about the direction. The extended family, vibe check, assessing the mood of a situation, immaculate vibes, British slang for very good energy, or off vibe, something that doesn't feel right. The verb form, we were really vibing in that meeting, has moved from music slang to completely standard informal professional English.
Lowkey means quietly, civilly, without making it obvious, often used to admit something the speaker finds slightly surprising or even mildly embarrassing. The opposite is high-key, openly and enthusiastically, without hiding it.
I low-key loved that terrible film. I know I shouldn't have, but I genuinely did. She's low-key one of the best people I've ever worked with. I don't think enough people see it.
Lowkey always carries a sense of reluctant admission or mild surprise at your own reaction. High-key is the open, unashamed version. You'll hear both constantly in informal conversation, social media, and increasingly in workplace small talk. Both are invisible in traditional textbooks.
You now know 12 words that most English courses will never teach you. Use one today, just one, and watch how different English sounds when you actually understand it.